All right, guys, so I am super excited to have you back for another installment of our 10 weeks of our online class or our homeschool art class, whatever we're calling this, it doesn't matter. We're doing art, and that's what I'm so excited about. Today we get to do a solar system. So this is not specific to our solar system. It is more just the concept of space, a solar system. It reminds us of maybe some of those school projects that we had one time where we had to do that. But this is where you're going to also create your own solar system. We're going to have some chances to do some, some choices. Maybe you'll get to choose some colors to create your own planets. I mean, who doesn't want to create their own planet? Honestly, we probably all want a new planet now that we're, seeing what our planet's looking like. Anyway, oh my gosh. So we are gonna let's go through the materials. So I've got my plate ready. I've got my cup of water ready. We're gonna be using a medium flat brush today. And then we'll also be using a round brush that's kind of comes to a point. This brush is really nice and versatile because the lighter that we do it, the skinnier the line will be. But then we'll also be able to fill in and do some other stuff. And then we'll also get to use our special tool is our art toothbrush. Not a toothbrush that you will be ever using again in your mouth because we put this in paint and we don't do that. You don't brush your teeth after you use that in paint. We are going to be using all of our colors, our 3 primary colors, red, yellow, blue, and we'll be also using black and white. So those are all the materials we'll need. The reason we're only going to be doing more of a medium brush today, we're going to be doing, as you can see, our background is actually going to change in color. If I was using a larger brush, I may have a little more trouble controlling some of that. So we're going to actually use the medium brush to be able to kind of control our paint a little bit better. But if you start having trouble, if ever you're having trouble with a material like a brush and you're like, man, I think I would do better if I switched to the big one right now, by all means. I'm trying to just limit so that you don't feel like you have to have 12 brushes out to do this. So I'm going to put this example over here, get mine out. We're going to use this in landscape, right? So we've got the longer side down and the shorter side up. Whenever we turn it this way, it's portrait. So first thing we need to pull out is we're going to get some white paint, and then we're also going to get some blue paint out. I'm going to get more white paint out than blue. Blue is a very strong pigmented color. You don't need a ton of, but we will still use a decent amount for our background. And actually, we will go ahead and put out a little bit of black. Just a little bit of black. Not tons, don't need a lot. So you can see I've got a lot more white, medium amount of blue, and a little bit of black. The black is going to help us get to the edges. We're going to get a little darker. As you can see from our example, well, hopefully you can see, there we go. You can see from our example, we have our lightest part is near the center, near the sun. Obviously that's what's creating light. And then as we go out, it gets darker and darker because we're getting farther away till at the very corners we're going to get a lot darker as well. Also, the secret, the reason we can have a yellow sun is because what we're going to do with the background is make sure the very center is actually white. We're going to start with white, and it'll seem strange that we're just putting white on there, but we're just going to be applying white to the very center of our canvas to put a base coat of paint, and that white will be light enough that the yellow will show up. If not, it would not show up very well. So I'm going to go ahead. Let's get our brush. Never likes to be dry. We want to make sure and get it moist in our water. And like I said, we're going to grab some white. And so we're going to be doing a lot of circles. This has a lot of circles in it. Our planets are circular. The motion for kind of the colors as they change will be our brush going in circles a lot. So we're going to start And again, like I said, it's going to seem very strange. You're not going to really see it. It's actually going to be a white circle. So just go ahead with your brush and we're going to kind of just do a nice white circle in the center of our canvas. You'll be able to see it better because you're up close on your canvas, and most canvases are actually a little off-white, if you can tell. I can see, you can't see it really well, I know, but you can, if you're up close on your canvas, you'll be able to see the white versus kind of the cream almost of the canvas. It's very white. Okay, there's white there, I promise. I did it. Now what we're gonna start doing is now we're gonna start slowly adding in a little bit of blue and just doing more and more rings, and we're gonna get darker as we get out. So I've got a lot of white on my brush, and then we're talking just the tiniest, like, look at that, just the teeny tiniest little bit, little tiniest bit of blue. And now we're going to start, and see, even that's more than I thought. Start going around. And now you can kind of see that I left that center white, and now I'm doing kind of a light blue around it, right? I'm gonna do like a light blue circle around it to kind of define that. And now, like I said, we're gonna start going darker. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and grab some more blue and start going darker, like a darker circle around it. Now, the thing that we want to do so that it doesn't look like just circles is that from one shade of blue to the other, we'll kind of overlap them, right? We'll overlap the colors a little bit. Also, if we get to where something got too dark on us, you can always come back and lay in over some more white. But we're going to just keep doing this circular motion, and we're going to start getting dark kind of fast because we're going to say that this is outer space. We're getting darker. So I'm going to just start grabbing just some more blue. There's still a little bit of white on my brush, but now as they start to mix, we're really going to get a deeper color. Look at that. So it starts to get darker really fast, really fast. And again, as I try to make sure they don't look like a lot of rings, I will kind of overlap that where they meet, right? Now, also, if I'm not doing enough paint, I'm going to start seeing these little dots. Remember, this first coat of paint always on a canvas, you end up using a little more because it wants to kind of drink up all of the moisture of the paint. So we want to make sure it's got plenty of moisture to fill in the canvas, right? And now I'm starting to get bigger and bigger circles, right? And again, I could still come back in with a little bit of that. I'm going to get to where now I'm just going to do solid blue, just straight blue now. We're going to get really, really, it's starting to get this darker now. So now let's get that straight blue. And this is going to be kind of this bigger area now because we're getting it really nice and dark. Just going around, going around. Again, this coat of paint is going to be a little bit thicker. I'm going to, make sure that these overlap. You see how I kind of overlap them to make sure that they're blending. Dry paint is not going to blend as well, so that's again another good reason to make sure you've got a decent amount of paint on your brush. I'm going to make sure that this dark blue goes all the way to the edge, but if you see, I'm going to leave those corners right now because I want to come back in and do a much darker color in those corners. So I'm doing this circle as big as it would go and leaving those corners lighter right now. There we go. So that is, we got this nice and circular, like I said, so I sometimes will come back in, kind of make sure that those edges are kind of, yeah, and like I said, we may even end up coming back over with some white to kind of lighten it up some. That sometimes happens as you're doing this. So, all right. Now the last thing I want to do to get this blue even a little bit darker is I'm going to do blue and actually mix in a little of that black. And that's how I'm going to do the corners. So it's going to be a dark blue black color on these corners right here to really get it darker. You see that? See how we kind of transitioned? And so I didn't want straight black. Having that blue, a little bit of blue in there helps us still transition from the blue that we had. But we're going to get that nice and dark in the corners. All right, so going to all the corners. This color could also be, this color or straight black could be a really good color to do your edges of your canvas. You know, we sometimes like to paint the edges of the canvas so that when we're done, we're done. We don't have to worry about framing, how it matches everything or not. So if you want to use just the straight black or do that darker black, blue color to go around your edges, this is a really good time. So I will check in on how you're doing, and I will also finish up my edges in just a sec. All right, so I have gone ahead and rinsed out my brush really well because I want to go back in and add maybe a little bit more white or a little bit lighter blue to kind of make my center a little brighter. I noticed mine got a little dark, and that's okay. Acrylic paint layers over and you can fix anything. My example seemed a little bit brighter, and I think I want to go back and do that. So me being able to show how even I can fix some of my mistakes can help you learn as well. Honestly, that's how everyone seems to learn. It's being able to fix yourself. So I'm going to grab some of my white and maybe a little bit of my blue, but really I want to keep it more of that lighter white. And I'm going to kind of go back around over the center and layer in basically a lighter circle and just spread that back out a little bit more. And that can just lighten that back up a little bit. If I want to do some lighter blue, I can spread that out farther. And see how my center now is getting a little bit bigger, a little bit brighter. I feel like I was making it seem like my sun was not going to be very bright, but the sun is very bright. There, it illuminates the whole solar system. So I need to bring a little more brightness. And so I'm just going to layer a little more light. There we go. That seems brighter. It seems brighter and about what I was wanting. So again, me being able to fix my mistake can help you show you how I'm doing that as well. So yeah, if I even want to do a lighter blue, this is a light blue, I can still spread that out farther. There we go. All right, so now I'm going to rinse my brush. And I'm actually going to switch brushes right now. Switch to my round brush. Switch to the round brush. And we are going to, was the round brush now? Actually, no. I I fibbed, sorry. Or more like I transitioned. There's one of those places in a painting where sometimes you could do one way or the other depending on where your painting is. And actually, since I just put some of that paint there, I think that it's not quite dry enough for me. I was about to go in and do the rings. I think it's not quite dry, but my center is dry, which is a perfect time to put in the sun. So we're gonna get some yellow out. Don't need a ton. Any of these extra colors that we use, I would recommend putting only a small amount out. You can always put out more, but because each section of these colors are going to be very small, you won't need a lot at all. You'll probably find that you still put out more than you need. So I'm going to get some yellow. Get some yellow out right now. And I'm using my flat brush again. And one of the great things I like about this flat brush, especially when I'm doing a circle, is how I can set it flat down and then I can turn it on the canvas. And when I turn it, it can already start to make that circular shape for me using the brush, because I'm just taking it and kind of doing like a windshield wiper. You know how a windshield wiper automatically makes a curve? You can almost curve your brush and make that same thing, and it can help you make a circle. Now, in our universe, it doesn't have to be complete perfect circles, and that's going to be, we're going to be okay with that. So I'm just going to start right here. I'm going to do a circle, kind of that, remember that windshield wiper sweep with my brush on either side, and I'm going to start to kind of build it out, kind of swooping with my brush. And we're going to put in a bright yellow base of a sun. Now our sun is not going to stay just this bright yellow. This seems a little more kindergarten sun shaped, and we're actually going to add a little more texture to it later, but it's good to get in this base of that. And you can also see how bright it is because we did it on that white. So we're going to get our sun shape in there. Trying to get it kind of round, and we got the sun. There we go. Yay. All right, so I'll rinse out my brush. Like I said, that's just the base coat. We're actually going to come back later with kind of a fiery orange, kind of red color to balance that. Because we know that really the sun is made up of fire and molten magma and other things that make it not just yellow. All right, so we are going to now get our round brush, okay, the round brush that comes to a point. If you find that you push down really hard accidentally on brushes, this could be a chance where maybe you might want to switch to a much skinnier brush if you want to keep your line thinner, okay? If you find that you push down too hard and you end up with really, really thick lines, and you're still working on it, which is great, switching to a much finer brush, here, got like a skinnier brush, could be helpful for you right now, because even when you push down on that, it's still going to stay a little bit skinnier. I know that if I use this brush and I just do a very gentle pressure, I can keep it thin. So whichever tool that you think will best suit you for the situation, we are going to be putting in the round circle lines around our sun. So grab your brush. I'm going to go ahead and stick with my medium round brush and just do delicate pressure for me. And get that in the water. And we are going to be making 3 round orbital circles, right? This doesn't exist in real life, but whenever we do diagrams and whenever we talk about how something will orbit, right, we know that we draw these lines in order for us to imagine its full path. So if you see on the example, we're going to do one that's around, that's closer, a full other one that we will see, and then kind of like our corners right here, we're going to only see just kind of the outside edge of the third line, but our eye knows that it's just extending past what our canvas is doing. So this is just straight white. So we're going to dip in to the white paint, and we're just going to look and see. And actually, if you wanted to, if you really wanted to, this could also be a chance if you wanted to use chalk to go ahead and chalk in your circle. If you want to chalk in your circle and just paint that out afterwards, that's fine. Or if you feel like you want to just eyeball it. Now, no, it doesn't have to be a complete circle. There are actually oval orbits. There's different elliptical orbits. So we can just also just eyeball it. And really, I can kind of look at the way that we've done our circles of color and kind of follow that. So I'm going to just eyeball it today. And maybe I come out with an interesting, you see I'm going to be dipping in and getting more paint whenever it starts to run out. But I'm going to just go around the sun. I'm doing a nice circle in white. Like I said, it's not super thick. For me, I'm doing very delicate pressure, which is probably also why I start running out of paint sooner. When you do very delicate pressure, I'm only using the very tip of my brush, which cannot hold that much paint. So here's my first one. And again, I can't ever completely duplicate what I've done before, but we can always do something similar. All right, my next one is going to be about 2 fingers out from my first circle. So I'm going to kind of do a 2-finger distance or so. I know it's going to get really close to the edge up here, so that might even be a really good place to start. Is starting it where I know I don't want it to run off the edge, and then just follow it around. Keep going all the way around. Curve. This one's still staying on, but getting really close to the edge. Gets really close to the edge. It's all right. Maybe I start back up here. And I curve it down, curving it down, kind of trying to keep the same distance all the way around. And connect those. So now I've got two round circles around there. And then, like I said, our last one is really going to kind of be right here around these corners, kind of where we were starting to transition from that blue to the darker color, right? And so I'm going to just do kind of a rounded arc line that'll go from kind of maybe about here to there, right? As if the circle is going really big. So then it's like I'm imagining the circle is going out, and then when it comes back around, it's going to hit right there. Boom. Right? And then I'm imagining the rest of the line, imagining. It's going to come right back up here, and it's going to curve up that way. Right? And then imagining, and then it's going to curve here. And those are our 3 orbital circles. Yes, I guess that's what they're called. I don't know. I am not sure. Oh, I forgot one thing, but we can still do this. It's actually my favorite part, and I'm so glad I remembered before we started putting in all the rest of our all the rest of our planets, because we actually forgot the stars. No, but it's okay. It is okay. See, this is one of the things about painting, is everything okay. We will probably end up putting stars on our sun, but we're going to be going back over the sun anyway, so it's no problem. All right. This is the favorite part. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot this. Because this is when we get to use our special toothbrush. This is also when I say, make sure to cover up anything that you do not want to get little specks on. I'm using a laptop and I don't like little specks on my keyboard, so I cover that up. I make sure my phone screen is covered. Little specks of white paint is not very useful except when we want it on our canvas, which is what we want right now. So that's actually going to be the biggest thing that's going to change and show us the difference between these two paintings right now. And again, it's fine that we already did our white circles because this is just white spots going over top. It's not going to do anything. So I'm going to take our toothbrush, just like any of our regular brushes. We get it wet. This I'm going to tap off because you can't really drag it, but I'm going to tap it to make sure that it's not drippy, like drippy wet. We do not want that. And I'm going to go over into my white. Now my white's a really thick white. As you can see, it doesn't run. So actually what I end up having to do is I do actually need to bring a little moisture from my cup over, because I need this to be more of a liquidy white. So I'll kind of scrub that, make sure it's not too drippy, but it's loose. And this is where we do our flick of our toothbrush. So this is where my finger is going to get messy. Be prepared. You're going to put your finger here, right, on the bristles, and I'm going to flick up while I turn the brush down. It's going to be this motion, like this. So I'm going to put my finger down here. I'm not doing this towards the screen. I'm just demonstrating. Maybe I should have done it before I had paint. But we put my finger right here, and I'm going to kind of flick with my finger up while I'm also kind of flicking this. I'm doing this towards the canvas, and we will start to see little white star specks appear. You ready? Here we go. Here we go. There we go. And actually, I don't even really see very many showing up on my sun, so we're fine with that. If you want to have more in different places, you can get a little closer. If you want to kind of create like a little nebula or something, a couple little spots that have more stars. There's our galaxy in our space. We needed our stars. Now, if your paint got really wet, you may see that you have like a couple little streaks. If you really don't like that streak or something, you can always go over here and kind of make it like it's like I said, like a nebula, or we can even make it look like it's a comet. We can make it work. Honestly, it's fine. So put in as many stars as you want to. This is out in the galaxy. So I think we should have like tons of stars. We should have lots. It's just so fun too. I mean, if your finger's going to get messy, might as well get messy and have fun. Look at that. Look at all those little stars that just appeared. I love it. I love it so much. Yay. So also when you're done, make sure you rinse out that toothbrush, because we can still use that again another time, but it will harden with paint in there dried. So, all right, I'm gonna check in, see how everyone's doing. I'm gonna remove my plates, make sure I have, no white spots on anything. We're gonna actually let our paint dry a little bit right before our next step, and I'll check right back in with you. Okay, so we've had a little chance for our stars to actually dry a little bit, which is perfect for us to move on to start adding in our planets. So our planets, if you see, I've got a number of different colors of planets. This is where if you want to have a little bit of creativity or choice, this is fine. I'm probably going to still kind of duplicate what I already did in my example, but you can do something different. So I'm going to, I think I'm going to start with my red planet. So I don't have any red out on my palette. So I'll get some red. And I might go ahead and put out some blue again, because the blue I had before is pretty much gone. And again, you don't need a lot. I might have probably put too much red out myself. And this is where, again, I think I'm still going to pull in my medium flat brush, because like I said, I like being able to do a twist of my brush to get a round circle. I know that I could do it with this, but I think I would struggle sometimes to get it more round. So I'm actually going to use my flat brush for this. So I'm going to grab just straight red. And actually, I think I want to make it a little darker. So here's what I'm going to do. I've got a little bit of black. I'm going to pull just like the tiniest little bit of black. I know that sounds strange, but it's going to give me a darker red color. When I say a small bit, we're talking like the teeniest little corner of that. But I'd like to get a darker red. See how it kind of gets darker? I think that will show it better. And so I'm going to come here, I think, right there. I'll put my planet. I'm going to put down my brush, and I'm going to do that windshield wiper turn. And I'm trying to get the line is going to be through the center of the circle. That is the goal. So no matter how big you get it, you need to try to keep it center where the line is going through it. Well, that's about the right size. I guess I can make it a little bit bigger. If I'm going to go bigger, I'm just going to go right around the edge the whole time, keeping it centered. There we go. Now, since you guys have done a few lessons with me, I know, and you already know, we're not going to leave it just this flat color, but we may have to leave it like this for right now and let it dry and then come back to it. So that is our first coat on that painting. You'll see us bounce around our galaxy a little bit with our colors and then going back and adding some shadows or some highlights. Okay, next one I want to mix a dark green. Our dark green is made with our blue and some yellow. I've really got dripping in my white. I'm gonna get that up. There we go. All right, blue and yellow. Mixing those together, getting a nice deep green. To get a darker green, you just end up having more blue, right? That dark blue, and then having that yellow. So there's our green. And I'm gonna do a nice big planet up here, kind of the opposite side of our sun. I'm going to plant my brush and start twirling it around, building out how big it is. Now sometimes that you might still see your white circle or your white line, right? The orbital path. That's going to be okay even just for this first coat, because we are going to come back and do some more. There's another planet. I don't know how big space that you have. If you have more space, you want to make it a really big one, or maybe yours is smaller space. And that is the base for that one. I'm going to stay in the green, but really I'm going to make this almost a dark blue almost planet. Let's see here. What color are we going to mix? I'm going to do one right up here in the corner. It's going to be in our dark colors. So really, actually, we need to make it so we can still see it, but it's still going to be in that green family. Let's see if we can add another one over here. It's going to be a darker one anyway because it's farther away from the sun, right? We're still giving the story of light. So since it's farther away from the sun, it's not going to be as bright as one that are closer. So I'm going to put one right here in the corner as well. He's just a little guy. Little one right there. Rinse out my brush. Rinse, rinse, rinse. And I think we've got enough room to do one more. And let's do a blue one. I haven't done a blue one yet. So our planet, when looked at from orbit, is more blue because of all the water that we have on our planet. So maybe this one. Now, the blue needs to be different than the color blue in the background that you have. So we need to make sure it still stands out. This is where if you want to, on my example, I tried to do making a ring around it, kind of like Saturn. If you want to, you can. If you want to just stick with more of the round planet shape, you can do that too. So I'm going to add, let's see here, maybe I'll add him kind of up here. Maybe he's just a little guy. Yep. I think I might just stick with the round one for me today. That's how I'm just feeling. That's okay. All right, I'm rinsing out my brush. And now, since we've kind of bounced around, I know that this red one is closer to being dry, and it's going to be the perfect opportunity to start adding some shadow and highlight to it. So I'm actually going to go and grab just some straight red this time. And this part, I'm going to start adding some red. Now, the story of our light, normally when we're here on Earth, right, we have light coming from one direction because the sun is either above us to one side and we will get light. Here we have the sun is in the center and it's sending light all directions. So the story of light will be where the planet is facing the sun is going to be the lighter side, right? That also tells it when it's in day versus night. So we're going to be adding highlights and lighter parts to the side that's closest to the sun. All right, so with this red, I want to do a little, here we go, and do a swoop of red where half of this red planet is now lighter. This half is lighter than this back half right here because the sun's light. Do you see that? And we can, so that is what we're going to end up doing is we're going to be going back to each of our planets, taking the color that we mixed and then making it lighter so that the side that's facing the sun is also lighter. So I'm going to mix that green again. And maybe this time I might need to grab just a little bit of white. Okay. So I've got the blue, yellow, and then a little bit of white this time to make a lighter green. And then this side. And honestly, the line of my orbit that's going through it that I can kind of see, that actually kind of helps me know about that half of the planet is probably going to be the lighter side. So there we go. Here's another light light half of a planet. Can you see that? I went through, maybe I can make it even just a little bit lighter. Sometimes you don't know as you're mixing on a plate what that color will end up looking like on the canvas, and it is okay. It is okay to go, well, that's not quite what I was looking for, and mix again and go back over it. So now that's a lighter side of that planet. All right, we're gonna do the same thing. I've already got the green on my brush. I'll go up to the one up in that corner that we added. And we'll just give him a little bit of a lighter side as well. Because he's still getting some light even though he's farther away. He's still lighter. Okay, I'm gonna rinse because I'm changing colors. And now I'm gonna go to that blue. So we're gonna just do light blue now. And his light blue side is right there, towards the sun. All right. So you should be able to tell now that we're adding depth and dimension to our planets. We're not quite done. We're going to add a couple more details, but we're starting to get better. You can see we're telling more of the story of light. Which side has more light than the other? This would actually be a really good opportunity because we know that our sun is perfectly dry while our planets are drying. Let's go back in and we'll start adding our details to our sun. Okay, my yellow got a little messy, so I'm going to put just a little more tiny spot left out there. We're going to mix kind of an orangey yellow to go back over this sun. So I've got yellow, and I'm going to grab a little bit of red, kind of mix that together. All right, and now I'm going to still going in that kind of these circular motions because we're going to say that there's different swirls almost. You see how we're adding swirls of this orange onto our sun, and it's really kind of making it look like it's fiery now, right? Look at this, we got it all fiery. And then we're gonna, so you can see I'm still using this flat brush. I'm gonna use the edge of the brush and kind of go through and add little kind of spikes almost to it. It's not full sun rays, but you can see it's, you know, where the sun is having maybe those little bursts, right? It's gonna add a little bit of texture to it, which, by the way, if your sun was not perfectly round, this will help hide if you were worried about it. This is a great way. So I'm just going to go all the way around the edge, and I'm going to add kind of that texture to the sun. And so maybe some sides of it have more of those sun explosions, right, on the surface. Maybe some have less. A little more paint. It's not going too much bigger. We're not doing those big sun rays, but it is just giving us a little bit of texture to our sun, making it explosive. Look at that. I really like that. And the center, I didn't try to make sure was completely, it's not completely blended. It kind of has, again, some more texture. And that makes us look less than just the yellow circle in the center that we used to do in kindergarten. All right, we are going to move to just a couple more details and then we are done. Now, there's one little thing that I added, which I think is pretty cute if you want to. I decided to add in a spaceship. So apparently we're the ones that have discovered the solar system. We are here, we're exploring it, and we're in a teeny tiny little spaceship. Not completely accurate in shape. It's a good, simple spaceship shape. But let's go ahead and we can add that little spaceship. It's going to orbit around. And it's just going to be a solid black. Solid black. I'm going to get my round brush out for this one. It's going to give me a little more control over this shape, which is not our circles. I guess it's the only thing on my canvas that's not a circle. All right, I'll scooch up close because I know that this is a smaller thing. But we're going to look. The shape is pretty simple. It's kind of more of like a little point round, and then it comes out for the rocket fins. So I'm going to, but again, the center of the orbital line is going to go through the center of our spaceship because it's orbiting in the same path as our my blue planet this time. Yeah. So I'm going to, from this line, kind of come down. I'm going to show you. It's going to go down and down on either side. Fill that in. See that? Then it's going to go out and out a little bit, like little wings. And we'll go down from the little wings. And kind of extend those as our little jetpack kind of nacelle things. It's really a very simple shape. So it is just rounded at the top, some little jets on the side. It's like an old school looking rocket ship. Old school looking rocket ship. I'm gonna rinse out my brush. You can also, while I'm here, I'm gonna grab some red. I'm gonna just pull out some little red flames out of the, we're burning some flames out of the end of the rocket. Look at that, he's a cute little rocket. It's all the way done. We've got a couple more little details for him, as well as some details left on our planet, but then we will be done. We are almost done with this. So I hope you're really enjoying this. It's really fun to start seeing your galaxy start to come together. The little details start mattering as you see the lights and the shadows. So let me check in with everyone and then we'll move on. All right, we're gonna finish up the very last part of this, which is just a little bit of highlights, and it really kind of makes the rest of our painting pop. So we're gonna go back in with just some outline white highlights at some certain points, like at the edges of our paint, our planets. So I'm going to use my round brush. I'm gonna go straight into the white. And this is where you're gonna need to use some light pressure. But what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna do a white line around half, like around the edge half of my planet. That is going to say this, that is definitely in the sunlight part of the orbit. So I'm going to just go around it. And it may look really strange right now. It looks really kind of weird to see white around it, but I promise it will pop later and you will see how it just makes it. So we're gonna go back around just to every single planet, and just the half that we had highlighted in the lighter color, we're going to edge with a line of white. Just a nice little line of white. So half of the planet will have a nice edge. of white. The other thing that has to have a little bit of a highlight too is our shiny spaceship. So I'm going to come to the edge of my spaceship, and this edge that's right here, I'm going to trace a little white right here on that edge that's closer to the sun right here. And also, while I have white on my brush, I'm going to put in a little oval window to finish that off. And that is that. We can also, if we want to, can kind of blend it a little bit if we want to add a little more highlight. But really, that is that. That is our solar system. Not ours that we live in, the one instead that you created. So I am so happy that you joined me for this lesson. I hope that you enjoyed making your own galaxy, and I'd be curious to see if you decided to choose some different colors than the ones that I did. But you could still use the same method and techniques that we did today, and I hope you are excited about our next lesson, and I will see you then.